3 guys in Kerr County who were responsible for sounding the alarm were effectively unavailable. Am I hearing that right?
What alarm are you talking about, ma'am?
Well, you said at 3:30, after 3:27, when what's the crossing called?
Schumacher Crossing?
When Schumacher Crossing's not possible, and at 3:30, when there's a call coming in and people are on their roof, you wrote down that's time for all hands on deck.
Correct.
But you didn't wake up till 4:20. The judge is in Lake Travis, and the emergency manager is sick.
Correct, ma'am. At that time, my people were out there doing the job. You know, I got the call at 4:20, but they were doing their job, notifying people and rescuing people.
But you, to your point, this was a weather event nobody had ever seen. It was moving fast, and 50 minutes sure seems like a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we could do it better, because we cannot go back in time and save these children, but knowing now what you know, is there a protocol that needs to be put in place that if the 3 folks who are responsible at this moment are not available for whatever reason, what should we do?
Yes, ma'am. We can look at that real hard. You know what I mean? Well, best thing I can tell you, I got the call at 4:20. Prior to the 4:20, that 50 minutes earlier than that, our people were out there. Our dispatch was calling additional people out. Yes, I can look at maybe they could call me earlier.
But no code red was issued, correct?
No, there was a code red issued, I believe it, to look about 5:01. But there was additional weather alerts being put out that whole time.
But who issues the code red?
Our dispatch issues it.
Under whose authority?
Anyone who tells them that they have supervisor approval.
And who is the supervisor?
The supervisor on that night was Sergeant Merritt.
So are you saying that there was a code red that was issued at 4:22?
No, that's when it was requested.
When was it issued?
5:01. Let me explain that to y'all up here. What happened that time, I gave you the numbers. These people, they were overwhelmed, okay? These dispatchers were with phone calls, radio transmissions, trying to type. They did a great job. The code red went out at 5:01. But in addition to that, there was other life-saving measures that were going on.
I was down here last week. You have a beautiful part of Texas. You have a community that has rallied. I have seen folks from all over this nation that has come in after the fact. It is our responsibility to look at, is there ability to better predict? Is there ability for better preparedness and for better prevention? My questions are purposely intended to figure out, now that you have the gift of hindsight in 2020, because Wimberley was 2015. Allison in Houston, of a slow-moving storm that didn't move, I experienced. Harvey didn't move, I experienced. Unfortunately, y'all have now experienced something you are saying, I have never heard of or seen this before. We've experienced it in other parts of Texas. And if we can't take advantage of this moment right now for the rest of Texas to recognize, you may not think it's going to happen to you, but it's going to happen. And if we're not prepared for the extreme weather, the system that stalls, then we're not taking advantage of this moment. So the question is, you said at 3:30, when people were having to get off the roofs, that's the moment for all hands on deck. And I'm trying to figure out, is there an existing system that could have gone out to people in floodwaters way to reach higher ground, or are you missing that system?
No, we do have a code red system that something can be put out. Yes, ma'am.
But for whatever reason, in this moment, there was nobody to properly sound the alarm. Is that what I'm hearing?
They did not send the code red, no, ma'am, until 5:01.
I have numerous folks from our area that have lost family in this event. And it is my understanding that there were little girls with water around their feet at 2 a.m. at Mystic, and were told, stay in your cabin. And those little girls did what they were instructed. What, if any, system is there available for Kerr County officials to hear from campsites on the river in a flood zone to better coordinate to send out a warning? Is there any way right now, was there a way for Mystic at 2 a.m. to tell you we have water at our ankles?
I'm going to defer to our emergency management.
William Thomas, Kerr County. Is it working? Okay. William Thomas, Kerr County. So there were a number of National Weather Service alerts that went out that evening.
I'm not asking about the national weather because that's prediction. I'm talking about the reality on the ground of little girls in their bunks with water around their feet at 2 a.m. Did you have any idea that that was happening? And was there a mechanism in place? Because if it's happening at Camp Mystic, you've got every other camp in this recreational zone at risk. What was the protocol and the process to warn people when that scenario comes up?
To my knowledge, we were not notified that the girls had water in their camp.
Did you have a protocol or a process to give you notice and or to seek assistance at that point, or was this private entity on their own?
No, I've had discussions with the camps before, and the process was they need to notify the sheriff's office.
Is there any indication that there was any notification?
I'd have to defer that to the sheriff.
No, ma'am, I don't have any. No, ma'am, I don't have any notifications in my notes.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last week we heard testimony from Chief Nimkid from the Texas Department of Emergency Management about hazard mitigation plans. My question is to Mr. Thomas. According to TDEM, counties are required to submit hazard mitigation plans to TDEM, and then TDEM is supposed to provide technical assistance to ensure that you are meeting the requirements for FEMA approval. Have any of your counties received technical assistance from TDEM or an audit of your current hazard mitigation plan?
William Thomas, Kerr County. I believe the process is once our hazard mitigation plan is completed, we submit it to TDEM. If there are any questions, they will submit it back. We answer those questions. We resubmit it again to TDEM, and upon their approval, they submit it to FEMA.
And were there any recommendations from TDEM on your plan?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
Not to your knowledge. Okay. So up to this date of this extraordinary weather event, your plan was in compliance according to TDEM and FEMA.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Louderback.
Thank you, Chairman. Sheriff Letha, at 2:53 in the morning, we knew that the River Inn had a problem, correct?
Yes, sir.
3:30, we knew that you had a family on the roof. 3:41, we knew that Schumacher Crossing, from a sergeant who lives there, understood the area, grew up there. So if we're going to have anybody make a decision right then, would it be a sergeant level or above law enforcement person to make the recommendation and make the call right then? We're saving minutes and seconds here. So would it be good for him to be able to have the authority to act in your stead, act in emergency management stead, in the time frame that it takes emergency management to get going, or for you to get up, or for them to be contacted wherever they are, so they can put a proper response in place? But it seems to me like we need an emergency response that is up to the task at the time it's going on.
Absolutely, sir. Yes.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Representative Darby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This line of questioning is very disturbing. To some of the comments, we've had little girls in bunk. We have people dying. And yet we've got officials that are charged with the responsibility for their protection, that are in their beds, they're sick, they're waiting for somebody else. I've not to this time heard about the establishment of a unified command center to handle these responses. But yet I'm more disturbed with your comments, Mr. Thomas. As a river authority charged with not only educating people, but exercising conservation measures, but you're also charged with responsibility of gauging that river and letting people know about the dangers. And the comments last week and testimony from your authority to our committee, it was clearly evident that in 2015 and later in 2023, it was recognized through studies that you paid for that there was a need for an early warning system. In your words, an alert system would have saved lives. And yet, you didn't do anything about it. You waited to receive grant money from some third-party source when you had the funds available in your budget that you collect property taxes for to protect the citizens of Kirk County. You had money in your budget to fund an alert system, but yet you chose not to. Would you care to elaborate on that for the benefit of this committee, on your reasoning for that? And ultimately, the funds that were in your reserve account, did you return those through property tax reductions? You chose that path?
Bill Rector,
Speak into the microphone. Speak into the microphone. We need to hear your response.
I think, is it working?
I can hear you now.
Thank you. Obviously, we have been frustrated over the years trying to institute flood control, trying to institute a system where we can better inform our emergency managers of situations. We grew frustrated to the point where we said, we're going to do it ourselves. We're going to just take the bull by the horn. We're going to create our own system, and we're not going to ask for additional funds. That was out of frustration. We had tried since 2016, when I came on this board, to create a flood warning system in Kirk County, repeatedly, year after year after year, working with various agencies, trying to work with them to obtain fundings, and finally we got to the point where we just need to do this. It is urgently needed, and we are going to do it, and that's what we did in 2023.